Hey everyone, it's Joy here, and I have two cards for you today. We're going to be doing some stenciling, some stamping, and some hot foiling. So we will be using the Garden Gallery stamp and coordinating die, the Sundry Sentiments foilet sheets, and there is a matching die for that. We will also be using the A2 Postage Stamp Stacklets and stencil. I'll be using both of these, and then there's the mini Slim Postage Stamp Stacklets dies and stencil. I'm not going to be using the coordinating stencil with that. Then we have the amber watercolor deco foil. Then we have Toffee, sugar cube, mushroom, and rose water ink. Then we have our white gems, a blender brush, and we're going to be using Toffee and sugar cube cardstock. So with the Toffee cardstock, I'm going to use the largest of the A2 Postage Stamp Stacklets dies. And then I'm using the coordinating stencil for this. I'm going to use the A2 sized, or the largest stencil that matches this background. I thought I was going to use that smaller one, but I ended up not. And you have little registration marks. That's like the little scalloped edge to the stamp, so you can line your stencil up nicely. Then with my blender brush, I am using the Toffee ink to ink blend inside of that stencil. I just wanted to have a darker area than the outside, but I did want it tone on tone. Once I'm done ink blending this, I will set this aside to dry, and we will come back to this background. Then from Toffee cardstock, I'm taking the largest of the mini Slim dies, the Postage Stamp Stacklets. Then I'm going to take the second size down and die cut that from sugar cube cardstock. Then using an acrylic block, I'm going to use the Garden Gallery stamp, and I'm going to start using the rosewater ink first. I want to start with second generation stamping, and then I will do regular stamping or first generation stamping. So second generation is you're going to ink up your stamp it off one time onto scratch paper, and then stamp it again on your project. So I did two of those, and now I'm going to do just regular stamping. So I'm inking that up again with my rosewater ink, and I'm going a little bit lower. So when I stamped the second generation, I went further in on the cardstock, and then this one I'm going to go in just a little bit less because I want to see both the light and the dark. I am going to stamp this one more time on the left side and just the regular first generation stamping. Isn't that so pretty? Then let's do a little bit of inking on the edge of our Toffee cardstock with the mushroom ink. Just getting that edge, getting a little bit inside the cardstock there. And then for that white background, we're going to use the Toffee ink and just do the same thing around that little scalloped kind of postage edge of the die there, or excuse me, of the card panel there. Okay, now with that same Garden Gallery stamp, I am inking that up with sugar cube ink, and I'm going to stamp this one stamp right directly in the middle. And I just wanted to make sure my background was dry before I stamped it with this white ink. But look at how pretty that is. And then with the sugar cube ink refill, I'm going to splatter the background. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit of that on my work surface, add just a little bit of water, blend that together with my paintbrush, and then I can splatter all over the background. I just think the splatter just gives a really fun look to it. A little more interest. And then I can set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to take that same Garden Gallery stamp set on sugar cube cardstock. I'm inking it with the rosewater, and then I'm going to do another stamping with the mushroom ink. And then there is a coordinating die for this. I will use that for both of these images. And I can just tape that in place with some low tack tape and run that through my die cut machine. And again, I will do that for both of these images. Just making sure I get it nice and lined up. Now I also want to do the sentiments. I'm going to be using the amber watercolor deco foil on the Sundry Sentiments foilet sheets. And I can get both my sentiments out of this, obviously, because there's so many sentiments on this background. So I'm going to place that in my carrier sheet, run that through my ink machine. I did let it cool off for about 30 seconds, and then I'm just going to gently and slowly pull that back. And then look at that foil. It has just different colors of that. It's like amber watercolor, so it's not all the same, and I love it. So here's those coordinating dies. I'm going to die cut 2 sentiments, one that says "You're amazing," the other one that says "Happy birthday." And I'm going to add some adhesive behind my white mini slim panel, adhere that to the Toffee, and then I will adhere that to a mini slim card base, which normally measures 6.5 by 3.5, but I did trim that down to 6 inches by 3.5. I felt like it just fit this A2 size piece here better, and I didn't have a ton of white area. I added some foam sticky strips behind my leaf image here and my sentiment. I'm going to place that right there at the top, overlapping the leaf just a little bit. And then for the A2 size one, they both have that foam adhesive, foam sticky strips behind it. And I do want to make sure I'm going to see that white stamp that we made on that Toffee cardstock. So I just lined up my pink flowers there. And then let's add some of these bits and pieces white gemstones. I think this was a perfect addition. I love the color palette of these 2 cards, and I feel like that mushroom ink was just definitely a surprise. Also, I forgot to mention that if you don't have a ink machine and you don't want to foil, you can still use the Foil-It Sentiments and just use them with the black ink on there, and those would look just as beautiful. Let's take a look at these up close. We can see that second and first generation stamping in the background. The sentiment is so amazing with the foiling, and I just love a good like leaf stamp. I just think it's so pretty. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.